Hey friends, welcome back. Do you like James Bond movies, espionage documentaries, and all the secrecy around that? You are at the right place, because today we're going to be talking about Pegasus Project, where Trojan software is used to spy on journalists, politicians, and businesses. Is an international journalism investigation conducted by the journalism nonprofit called Forbidden Stories and the human rights group called Amnesty International. So they both revealed that governments were spying on journalists, politicians, and businesses and collecting information from their cell phones. For that, they were using a malicious software, spyware, created by the NSO Group. The NSO Group is a tech company part of the Q Cyber Technologies Group who makes surveillance technologies. The marketed goal of this tool from NSO was to collect information about terrorists and criminals that represent a threat to national security. But it was used to spy on citizens, politicians, and businesses. So the goal was to collect information silently to have an unfair advantage on their targets. The spyware can do anything you can do on your phone. Get your location, emails, social media, pictures, videos, enable your microphone or camera, literally everything. This will help the entity using the malware to collect everything they need to know about the target. The NSO Group claimed that on their license agreement, they mentioned that this tool should be used for collecting information about legitimate criminals and terrorists. But it wasn't the case. Alright, let's get into the technical part and see how Pegasus gets pushed to a mobile device, how it works, how it collects data, and how it can stay invisible. It all starts with network injection, conducted through rogue cell towers or dedicated equipments placed on the mobile operator side. So, for example, they put an interception device on the mobile operator data center that will intercept the traffic between your mobile device and the server website, wherever application you are visiting. The redirection sends the targets to a staging domain, and then from there it bounces back to an installation server, or you can call it infection server, from where the malicious software will be pushed to your machine. All this happens while you are just browsing the internet using your mobile browser or just connecting using applications on your smartphone. Once you visit the infection website, a process named BH, Amnesty thinks that BH stands for Bridgehead, we're not sure yet, but this process will load an API function that will lead to the decompression of the next stage payloads and all their proper placements. They will complete the browser exploitation, but also root your device and prepare for its infection with the Pegasus malware. Right after that, the crash logs report gets disabled on your phone. The next stage, exploitation, revealed two other processes: privilege escalation and the loading of the malicious software. The forensics work also revealed that the malware deployment uses multiple attack vectors. It can exploit the Apple Photo application, Apple Music, iMessage, FaceTime, it depends. So it wasn't just using, let's say, network injection only, but it was also exploiting other vulnerabilities on smartphone operating systems and applications. But most of the time, the exploitation of applications like Apple Photo, for example, was used as a gateway for more traditional exploitation like browser exploitation. While network injection is convenient, it's not the case when targeting non-domestic mobile subscribers. So that's why the other option is to exploit vulnerabilities on the applications used on those mobile devices. And that's where the usage of 0 days comes into place. Yes, 0 days. This is a military-grade malware using 0 days, and that's why it's too powerful. So the other tactics exploiting 0-day vulnerabilities are also called zero-click exploits in order to install the Pegasus malware on the targeted devices. It was heavily used between 2016 and 2018, but also more recently this year. Suspicious iCloud accounts were discovered pushing these zero-click attack vectors to the targeted devices. So the 0-day exploits in iMessage and FaceTime were heavily used to exploit the devices by having them just receive a message. So it's really crazy to think about that, because it only needs to send a message to the target, and by just receiving that message without any interaction, your device gets exploited. On the devices discovered earlier this year, Amnesty International noticed that once the device receives an iMessage, the process Apple.Core telephony will reach out to the infection server through HTTP and then download the encrypted binaries, and that's how the infection starts. Apple Music was also used to escape sandbox and privilege escalation. So it's not only iMessage and FaceTime, even the other applications can be abused even if they don't have 0 days in order to facilitate the exploitation of those targeted devices. After being deployed, Pegasus manipulates the system databases and records to first hide any traces of exploitation, but at the same time hide the running processes and make them look like the legit iOS processes. Now let's talk about the backend and see what's supporting all these operations. In 2018, Amnesty International reported 600 domains used by the Pegasus infrastructure, and they name it version 3. It was using a network of VPS or virtual private servers and also dedicated servers. Each installation server or command and control server hosted a dedicated web server on port 443 with a dedicated certificate. Then in 2019, they had an upgraded architecture, the version 4, where they added more layers. So for each infection, they had 4 servers dedicated to that operation. A validation server that redirects the request. So if it's a valid request, it gets sent to the infection server. If it's not valid, it gets redirected to a legit website. The second server is an infection DNS server that uses unique domain names for each attempt. Number 3 is the infection server that uses multiple web servers on high random ports in order to deliver the payloads. Number 4 is the command and control server. It uses separate domains and direct connection to avoid network discovery. According to the reports published by Citizen Lab, the majority of the domains and servers used for this infrastructure version 4 were hosted in Germany and the US. And the most used vendor was DigitalOcean. Some people may wonder why only iOS devices are targeted. It's not the case. Both iOS and Android devices were targeted by this malware, but iOS devices were subject of this investigation because they provide more traces, more logs to work with. So that's the main reason why on the investigation reports you see like Citizen Lab or Amnesty International mentioning almost exclusively iOS devices. Now let's talk about the key takeaways and the lessons learned from all this. The first thing is that vendors need to make their devices more auditable. This will make investigations and detections in this kind of scenario easier, of course, without compromising the device's security. Even if you are nobody, sophisticated digital monitoring will get you, but it's your right to keep your private information private. So that's why this kind of investigations is really important. There are no magic solutions, but staying cyberware will make you more secure. Secure phones are also an option, where mobile OS are hardened and deployed to encrypted phones. It could be commercial phones or phones with limited hardware like no microphone. So it sounds crazy, that maybe without a camera. It depends on what's important to you. Fun fact, the co-founder of the NSO group also founded a secure phone company called Chimera. They offer encrypted devices running Chimera OS, and they put it on a commercial phone like Google Pixel, for example, but they offer more security capabilities. For example, the data is stored in encrypted state and all the communications are encrypted by default. They have a chameleon mode where they have 2 versions of your data stored on the phone to confuse attackers or make it more complicated to access your data. But they will also notify you when you connect to insecure, untrusted network or just install a shady application on your phone. Last, this is the responsibility of the big tech company to stay ahead and secure their products. They have the budget and the human resources to do that. That's why there is an emerging market of mobile threat defense, or MTD, where the mobile security market is expected to reach nearly $123 billion by 2027. Thanks for watching and see you next week.